What is happening. So I figured I'd throw a video up this morning to show you the progress on Oscar's motor. I have the heads ready to valve job. I'm waiting for my Berg order to come in for the springs and the cutter. I seem to have lost my valve spring cutter, so I had to order another one. But anyway, I did the combustion chambers, heart-shaped the chambers. This seems to help with the drivability. And I polished the chambers, cc'd the heads, got everything equal. We're at 58 cc's with these. I did some pocket work under the seat. Didn't get too carried away with the port. I am going to port match the manifolds. The carburetors had a lot of reversion going on. You can see how black they are up in the barrels there. That's not normal. It did have a huge jet in it. Didn't have a huge cam, and that's from a lot of overlap. You know, you get that blackness up in the carburetors if it's not tuned properly. But we'll go ahead and jet it and take care of that issue and port match the manifolds. We'll put a balance tube on the carburetors, and that should help us quite a bit. Working on the compression ratio, came in with 8.5 to 1. These are A&A pistons, and they're hyper eutectic. You can see the detonation. That's the pits right there in the pistons. Couldn't see that before I cleaned them. But obviously at 8.5 to 1, there was sort of a issue, you know, too much compression for the fuel that was available. I didn't check the timing on the motor, but it didn't seem excessive. It ran pretty decent when it wasn't loading up. Of course, we'll optimize all that. He's got a much better distributor now. So we'll get the ignition system set up to match the carburetors and the camshaft. I was going to use the 110 in this motor again. This is 78 by 90.5, but I think it would be too small. So I'm thinking about going with a C45. They seem to run pretty good. They make decent power, but we're going to have to get a double spring. It really needed a double spring when it came in. It had a 110 with single springs with a 1.25 rocker. And it's recommended when you go with the high lifts to double spring it, you know, because you're leveraging the valve train at the spring when you put the high lifts on. So we're going to go ahead and make that change. Go with the double springs, go with the C45 so the motor will have some power. I think the 110 would be too small. I would prefer just to go with a 100 or a stock cam if we were going to go for that route. And but I don't think he'd be happy with the power if we took the camshaft out of it. So I made this little tool the other day. I'm sure you can buy these. Let me get my wrench here. But this empty plate comes with a piston stop. So the deal here, you run the piston up, hit the stop, and that's how you find top dead center. But a lot of times, you know, you have depending on the rod that you have in the motor, sorry about that, the rod and the setup, you have piston dwell. So the top dead center can happen a little bit, you know, hang there for a while. So I made this little dial indicator. I took a bridge, turned it upside down, drilled the empty plate, and bolted the bridge to the plate. And I got my dial indicator here, and I'll show you how it works. You roll through the motor, and that was a big turn there. Let me go back the other way. But it stops when it's on top dead center on 0. So the gauge is a little off. I just set this back up for you guys. But anyway, we'll set this on 0. That's where it stopped. And then you go the opposite way. And then you come back to it. You always want to come back to your top dead center counterclockwise, because of the lash and the cam gears. It's hard to do with one hand. But there we go, that's 0 right there. You'll see it start moving away from it. So we're gonna go back to it. But it just lets you find 0 a little better. The piston stop, you know, it can hit it and move off of it. You can see how sensitive this is. One-handed, it's like hard, but anyway. We get it back on 0 there. And I know a lot of my subscribers like to do the math on these. We ended up with a 300 thousandths barrel here. So I'll show you that. The little mini here. Let me see, where's that zero on blind? It's 300. There we go. Anyway, 300 on the shim. And then we take this tool out of here. And I made this where the bridge can stay on there. You can unbolt it though. I don't want to touch that off button. And then we have this indicator. This sits right up on here. Like so. That's 600. So 600. Let's see here. Minus 460 for the plate. 140 on the deck. So 140 thousandths on the deck. We got a 90.5 cylinder. We got 58 Cs in combustion chambers. Should put us around 7 somewhere. 7, high 6, 701, somewhere in there. I haven't done the math, but it should be somewhere in there. I know some of you guys really love to do the math, so go ahead and do the math. Throw it in there for me, and we'll do a giveaway of some sort. T-shirt, gift certificate, something, a part. We'll figure it out. You guys put your answer there, and we'll put you in a hat and draw, because there's always more than one guy that does the math. But anyway, that's what's going on with Oscar's motor. It's about ready to come back apart, and we'll put the camshaft in there. We're going to degree the cam, make sure all our opening closings and our center lines are correct. If it's not straight up, we'll have to buy an adjustable gear. So basically we're just checking it. We have a bolt-on gear, so we're sort of hoping that the cam manufacturer's close, but we'll check the opening and closings to make sure everything's, close to the card. And we'll take it back apart one more time, wash all the parts, and assemble this motor. Should be going together probably on Monday if I get my Berg order today, like they said I was going to. But I've got the valves all cleaned up. I've got the heads, they need to be valve jobbed. We'll clean them up one more time, then we'll assemble those. The barrels have all been soaked, got the spacers off of those, got all the silicone off of them. And we're pretty much good to go. I think we have all the parts. We got the Mega Spark came in for it. Got all that stuff in the cabinet up here. Got the Mega Spark, got the coil, got the push rod tubes, got the spark plug wires the other day from CB Performance. Got the silver line bearings. The other day I went back and got another set of bearings. And we'll take the Coleman Schmitz off the crank and go with the silver lines. I like the steel back bearing a little better on a motor like this. We'll use the Coleman Schmitz on a 1600 or something with less abuse. But yeah, that's what's going on. I got the 2 liter down here. Got the carburetors rebuilt on that. And hopefully today we're going to fire that up. If that happens, I'll make a video on that. So we'll see how that one runs. This is a 78x94 motor, and the one in the stands is 78x90.5. Got the turbo motor back together there. It's ready to go back in the car or whatever. And yeah, it's been sort of crazy around here motoring. Got the Hemi apart over here. Got a Hemi apart. Gotta get this done. Got the block back, and it doesn't look too bad. It needs to be cleaned up. Buddy just ran a hone through it for me with some plates on it. And got to buy a crank assembly for this, maybe a set of rods and pistons. Bought this motor at the junkyard, thought it had a good crank in it, and the crank ended up having a spun bearing on it. So, Mopar crank's about $400, $500. Stroker kit's about $1,700. Comes with the rods, pistons, and the crankshaft. And it makes the motor much more bulletproof, Hyper Eutectic pistons are alright. They got powdered rods in them. This one also had a bad lifter, but it didn't wipe the cam out. All the needle bearings came out, and the roller was still in good shape. and hadn't taken the cam out yet, so we'll have to figure out what to do with that. I really bought this truck to sell it, so I didn't really want to build a stroker motor for it, but it seems like that's the cheapest way to do it if you're going to rebuild the engine. So all I'll be out is the bearings that I bought, and we'll be all right with that. So got the Nova out here. Somebody asked about that. I'll do a video on that, fire that up a little later for you guys, your Nova guys. And yeah, I built another carburetor for that. I got it driving. I actually drove it down my road. I need to get a tag for it, obviously, but I need to get it painted. So as soon as I get this motor done, get the shop cleared out, we'll start working on the Nova and the Ventura. I'm going to sort of try to get some of this stuff done so I can sell it. I also have a 94 Ford four-wheel drive out back I've been restoring. I bought it for Haley and she didn't like it, so I ended up painting it, and I've been working on that too so I can sell it. I did get another, got the crank. I've had this crank for a while, and I sent it out and had it all, you know, got the good bill of health on it there. Sent it out to Competition Products, and they sent it back. It's all balanced. I got the bob weight. I got the all the information, the motor it was in. They had everything off the serial number on this thing. This is a Dragon Slayer. It's a Callie's forged crank. It's a 4-inch stroke. I'm not going to go real big on the stroke, but I need to get a bow tie block or a Merlin block, something with a 4.5-inch bore. I like to build like a 509 cubic inch motor for the Nova. So I'm sort of gathering up some parts. So I sent that out and made sure it was good. Need to buy a balancer, a flex plate, you know, pretty much everything. So the next hurdle will be the block, because that's the most expensive piece left. Everything else I can buy a little at a time, but that should wake the Nova up quite a bit. So the motor that's in there right now is okay. It's just a little street motor, you know. I don't know what we'll do with that, but we'll do something with it. And until we get this one done, it pulls the car in and out of the shop now, and I don't have to push it anymore, so that's good for me. But anyway, hope everybody's having a good day. Go out there and push the record button, and we'll get you another video up as soon as I get organized here. We'll get the motor all laid out, and of course I'm going to make a video of assembling the engine. And we have to get everything cleaned. You know, it's a process. A lot of times I don't record this part of the build, you know, putting it together, taking it apart, and you know, I just put it together. But this is necessary. You got to measure everything, got to figure out the compression ratio. You got to, you know, make sure that the combination is going to work for the customer, you know, and serve his needs well. And definitely want to make power of this motor. I thought about putting a stock cam in it. I actually clearanced the stock cam for it and had it in there. I mean, I've definitely tried several combinations, but in my head. But I'm afraid that if I put the stock cam in there, that it's not going to produce the power that, you know, he wants. It would be much easier on the valve train, and it would be a torquey motor, I do believe. And I don't know, I'm still a little crazy. I might put the stock cam in there, and if it runs really bad, then I'll take it back apart and put the other cam in. I've already clearanced everything for the bigger camshaft, but we're looking for dependability here, and we want it to run good and be drivable. So my only concern are the carburetors. You know, they're a little small for the power that we're making. And you know, if you look online, the powers to be out there, the Volkswagen gods don't recommend 1 barrels when you add camshaft, but Caddyshack seems to like them. I've used them on my bus quite a bit. I've never really got wild with them. Greg Porter's got a set on his Gia that Caddyshack did, and they seem to work okay for him. So we're going to match the manifolds. They're not matched to the heads. I think that might be part of the reversion problem coming up into the carburetor. It's unusual to see this much carbon in the, you know, the airflow area. These carburetors don't have chokes, but the air cleaners were way restricted, so they were acting like chokes all the time. The carburetors are clean inside. There was no issue with dirt or anything like that. It's just definitely a tuning issue. They're way too fat. So if you go on the forums and stuff, they'll tell you, you know, don't use these carburetors when you use a K8 or C45 that they're not compatible. But I have used this quite a bit with this combination, and it worked out quite well. I actually built Kenny a motor for his buggy way back in the day, and we had K-Drons on it with this cam with some ported heads, and it was even a 1600. It was a smaller motor. So we'll see how the carburetors work, and you know, if they seem to be a restriction or a problem, then I'll deal with that when we come to it. But just to be clear again, we got 300 shim under the barrel. We got 140 deck. We have a 90.5 cylinder. We got 58 cc's in the combustion chambers. And I can go in there and do the math, but I'm gonna let you guys do it. We'll do a little giveaway, and somebody will win a little prize. And yeah, keeps you guys involved in the build. So I like that kind. Anyway, thanks for watching the videos. Thanks for leaving the comments. I always watch the comments or look at the comments. I'm going to do an answering the question video here soon. I got to do it with my wife so she can read the questions off the laptop and I can answer them and get through it, and try not to talk for too long. But maybe we'll do that later tonight or tomorrow. She's back service riding, so she's tired when she gets home. So, and I think that's about all I got. I mean, I could ramble on for the rest of the day, but I'm going to go ahead and stop here. You guys have a good one, and until the next video, keep them on the road.